Hi, welcome back to another Candace's Corner. My name is Candace. My name is Candace Cunningham. Yes. Um, I work at the Institute for Human Development at University of Missouri, Kansas City under outreach and individual advocacy unit. Candace's Corner is under the reset at the USAID, which is uh, training and speakable for individuals with lived experience in developmental disabilities. Candace's Corner is a video podcast series where I get a chance to interview great people who are either working in the field with people or have the lived experience. So today I got I get to interview my friend Sandy Kaiser. Um, Sandy is an employment specialist at the Missouri Department of Mental Health under the Division of Developmental Disabilities. Try to say that 5 times fast. Sorry. So hi Sandy, thank you for coming on.
Hi, Candace. Thank you for inviting me.
Of
I'm
course.
excited.
Yes. I have so for this interview today we're going to do it a little different where Sandy came up with questions for me as a person with lived experience and I'm who is working and trying to figure out benefits and all that good stuff. And this is why we have Sandy here to explain to all of us how we should do it, or hopefully. So, Sandy, do you want to ask me the question, or do you?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll ask you questions.
okay.
So, first of all, thanks for inviting me and just kind of an introduction to myself. As Candace mentioned, I am the Employment First Specialist for the Division of Developmental Disabilities. So, I started in this role in about 2012. So, I've been doing it for about going on 13 years now. Um, when I started, we had one in each regional office. So, and at that time, we were called Youth Transition Employment Resource Coordinators. So, we had a little cutback in 2014, 2015, and we went from 12 of us down to 4 of us. And at that time, I covered the northeastern region. So, I had kind of like the Kirksville, Hannibal, St. Louis, and part of Rolla area. Uh, and then in 2020, we had another cut. I took the eastern half of the state. And then in 2021, when my colleague retired, I became the last man standing. So I am the only employment first specialist left in the entire state. Um, Now, I think the reason why you invited me here is in 2013, I had the opportunity to become credentialed as a benefits specialist. So I went through coursework that taught me all about Social Security and the work incentives that Social Security offers, as well as some additional training in Medicaid. So I became a benefits specialist as of 2013 and have been trying to help people navigate the waters of balancing those work and benefits ever since. Um, and Candace, as we know, that was kind of the topic we wanted to talk about. Um, I think people want to hear what your lived experience has been with balancing work and benefits. You know, what things you've learned along the way, and what things you wish other people knew. So, starting with that, kind of what has your experience been with navigating work and benefits?
Um, Well, let me say, I'm very grateful to have this job at the Institute for Human Development. Let me just put that out. But balancing work and benefits has been very frustrated. My director actually, a couple years ago, we moved down. I moved down to 30 hours, just so I can keep that medi one of the Medicaid. I think Medicaid because medicine is so expensive. But and I do know Sandy. Um, last week, well, at the beginning of the year, my mom and I um got a letter from one of those people, sorry, saying that they need to get all the information, and it's been stressful and overwhelming because it's like they want us to work, but yet they don't want us to. It's like a double answer. Well, they want you to have a good life to work, but yet if you do work so many hours, you can't have that. And yes, I do work, and yes, but I also need my medication to help me function through my day to day. And if I don't have that, then I'm won't be a functional employee to help at IUC and or to work at IUC, and they might be like, "What's wrong with Candace?" No, I'm playing. But you know that medicine that benefits Medicaid is really helpful for getting one prescription that costs $1,500 each month, and I don't have that, so.
Candace, just in you talking about that experience of it being stressful, balancing everything, and um, kind of touching a little bit upon, some of the frustrations, that Medicaid is a needs-based service. It's for people who financially need it. So, you have to meet certain financial requirements. So it's kind of like, okay, knowing what those requirements are, um, knowing how you can maximize the benefits of work. So not only being able to work and be around others and gain skills and feel like you have purpose and you're giving something, um, to have value, but also um, financially, to benefit financially, right? So, you know, knowing all those ins and outs is one piece. So I'm really excited what the state of Missouri has been doing regarding that. So this started with our behavioral health side. So in DMH behavioral health, they have been working on building capacity of organizations to provide benefits planning to people who need them. So the division a few years back also kind of joined forces with behavioral health and said, hey, how are you doing this? We want to do this too. So now we also are trying to build capacity within our service providers to have more benefits planners available to individuals. So I'm really ecstatic to report that as of January 2020, we have over 50 organizations in the state of Missouri that have benefits planning experts on staff. And when I look at the number of benefits planners, we have across the state of Missouri over 100. So that is something that we've really been working hard to achieve is that. So also, one of the things that the division did is we added benefits planning as a standalone service under our waiver funding. So individuals who have a Medicaid waiver and need benefits planning to help them figure out what what do I want to work? what work incentives I can use, how am I going to navigate these waters? um, we can now offer that service as well. So when individuals are just beginning to explore at work, so they're kind of in that exploration phase, kind of looking at what makes sense for them. But they're not quite looking for a job, or maybe they've even started looking for a job, but they don't have an offer yet. Um, they may be a little bit too soon to get in-depth assistance from what we call the Work Incentive Planning Assistance Program, a WIPA program. So their criteria is they want to help individuals that have jobs or have a strong job offer. So that's kind of their priority group. So we know that a lot of individuals may not be able to access that support yet. So we want to be able to meet people where they're at and get them the support they need when they need it.
That's important. And I have a question, a follow up question. Does all the support coordinators or the SC know about um, that they can introduce this to the individuals that they're working? Or are they supposed to know about?
Hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. Uh,
Thank you.
so knowing that not everyone may have a support coordinator, so you might have some listeners that have that are on behavioral health. They go to a community um, center for behavioral health, but they don't have a support coordinator under the DD umbrella. So, for individuals that might go to those community mental health providers, check with your provider. See if they have a staff person who has that credential in benefits planning, can help you navigate those waters. Of course, definitely, if you have a DD support coordinator, please check with your DD support coordinator. If you don't have a DD support coordinator, and you don't have um, a community mental health provider that you go to, you can feel free to reach out to me, and I will try and help point you in the direction. There are a number of different resources. So I've kind of mentioned we've got DD waiver, we've got mental health providers. Outside of that, there are some additional resources in the state of Missouri that might be able to provide benefits planning to individuals. So um, definitely, like I said, if you aren't connected with DD and you aren't connected with a mental health provider, please reach out to me and I can help try and point you in the direction of some resources that you can get benefits planning.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What about those, and I'm going off script, I know, sorry, but what about those people that don't have that diagnosis yet? Or don't have no, well, they might have the diagnosis, but they don't have, any support.
Right. Those individuals can reach out to me, and because there are benefits planning resources that might be able to help individuals that aren't in the DD system and aren't in the behavioral health system but need that support. Yeah.
I just think that's very important for people to know that, so.
Um, so kind of going on what your own experiences are, what advice would you have for individuals that are looking at doing the same thing as you did? Kind of getting out there, getting a job, uh, trying to reap the benefits of working. So gaining more skills, being connected to others, feeling like you have a valued role, and even getting some extra money. So, what advice would you have for them?
I would have for them to know what you want to do. Knowing that, and two-part things I'm going into. So knowing that you might fail, but knowing that you can keep going, but also know what benefits you do have. So you do know, okay, I can make this. I'm going to say 200 a month. I don't know the right amount, but knowing that, okay, I, but I can have an able account, right? So I could put some money in there, but still do what I want to do. So knowing that there are possible avenues to go to, and to talk to a Sandy before you before you get into it, because um, I'm gonna mention my mom again. I apologize. We was talking about this last weekend. We didn't know about all this, but she's told me if we could start all over and get that benefit, then knowing, then it might be I wouldn't be in this hard, not in a hard place, but and she's like, what if you quit for a while, which I'm not gonna do, and get those benefits and then start over. But I'm just like, if I do that, I'm gonna drive her crazy. So I don't think she wants that. But just knowing who to go to and knowing what kind of benefits you have. Because I still get confused with Medicaid, Medicare, SSI, SSDI, and then if you have that support coordinator, um, having them involved, but having them reach out to somebody that can actually help you figure this out.
So I love what you just mentioned, Candace, on so many levels. One, that knowledge is power. So we know that individuals, might seek out some advice. And the advice that they get might be somewhat accurate, but wrong for the type of benefit they get. So we know Social Security, or I should say work income, is treated differently for SSI beneficiaries than it is for SSDI beneficiaries. And a lot of people, there's confusion. They don't know. They just know they get some kind of Social Security benefit, but they don't know which one they get. So then they start looking to find answers. They reach out to trusted professionals. And then those trusted professionals, having a little bit of knowledge, give an answer. And sometimes what we see is that then ends up in an unintended consequence occurring. So, individual having SSI, for example, reaches out and gets told, oh, if you keep your work income below the substantial gainful activity, it will not affect your benefit at all. So that person goes to work believing that, hey, as long as my income is capped, my Social Security benefit's not going to be touched at all. Nothing's going to happen to it. Well, then Social Security finds out that they're working, sees the IRS records, and is like, hey, congratulations, you're working. By the way, we got to reduce your benefit because you've got SSI, so we're going to reduce it a little bit. Oh, and we've overpaid you, so we're going to reduce it even more. Well, that person, not knowing that was going to happen, then, stops working. Kind of does what you were taught, what you mentioned was recommended to you. What if you stopped working and get your benefit back? So people will stop working, and then it's a lot harder to get them back to working again because they've had those unintended consequences, and they're like, I can't go through that again. So knowledge is power. Getting to a benefit specialist who can, one, confirm the benefit that you get or the benefits that you get, can then provide that education about how is work income going to impact that benefit, and then also discuss the different work incentives you might be able to utilize that would allow you to maximize how much you're making from work and maintain access to those needed benefits. And it really allows the beneficiary to be the decision maker here, to really be able to make a truly informed choice about how much or little they want to work and earn based on their own personal goals and what matters to them at the time. Um, so that's one thing, getting that information, confirming the benefit, confirming the the effect that work income is going to have on those benefits. Very key. But then you also mentioned another thing, enlisting those support systems. So we all require support. Right now it's tax season, right? How many of us go to a tax preparer? How many of us reach out to somebody who knows more about taxes to help us with taxes? So it may not be a professional tax preparer. It might be a trusted family member or friend who is kind of like a guru when it comes to doing taxes. So I think the more individuals kind of know, okay, who are going to be my supports to help me maintain my work or balance my work and benefits. So, like you mentioned, having to report to Social Security, having to report to Medicaid, doing all these things and keeping things kind of together. It's sometimes knowing, okay, who are going to be my people that I'm going to go to help me with this. Don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, you don't have to, and yeah, you don't have to do it alone. Thank you, Sandy. What are work incentives?
Good question. Work incentives. So work incentives are things or perks that really allow individuals to explore and work and maximize their financial self-sufficiency. So just kind of an example, impairment related work expenses. So impairment related work expenses are things that a person may have to pay for in order to be able to go to work, but may also be due to a disability. So I take medications. So medications might be an impairment related work expense if these are medications that I need to be able to work. So, you know, kind of using an example of maybe individuals that might need medications to help them concentrate or medications that help reduce anxiety, so manage those emotions. So you think about it, if you weren't taking those medications, would you be able to work? So the way impairment related work expenses are applied differs based on the Social Security benefit you have. So, for example, SSI beneficiaries from the beginning, anything that they're spending. So, you mentioned medication. So, um, beneficiaries can take what they pay out of pocket. So, you had mentioned with your Medicaid right now having that, needing that Medicaid. So, if Medicaid is paying the majority of that medication, you would not be able to use that cost. uh, you would only be able to use the cost that you actually have to pay, so your copay amount. But like if you don't have Medicaid and you're having to pay out that $600 a month, guess what? That's a $600 impairment related work expense that you can then submit to Social Security. Now, for SSI beneficiaries, it is going to reduce how much your SSI benefit may be impacted. So we know with SSI beneficiaries, any amount of income is going to cause their Social Security benefit to change. So they can submit, hey, I paid this much in um, prescriptions, and then Social Security will subtract that from their work income to then figure out, okay, how much of your work income are we going to count in reducing your Social Security benefit? SSDI beneficiaries, on the other hand, Social Security will only use those impairment related work expenses once your work income is reaching that substantial gainful activity amount. So, if, for example, if you're only making $1,000 a month, Social Security is going to be like, yeah, you're not making substantial gainful activity amount yet. You don't need to worry about applying your impairment related work expenses because you're going to still get your cash benefit, right? But if I was making closer to $2,000, okay, now I'm making over the substantial gainful activity. But if I'm spending 600 a month in prescriptions, guess what? 2,000 minus 600. Oh, now my income is considered below the substantial gainful activity. Now I'll get my cash benefit. Plus, I'll have my work income, but I'm still spending $600 for the prescription.
Yeah. I have a follow up question. And what if so? What if you lose a Medicaid for 1 month? Would SS and you have to pay out of pocket for that medicine? Would SSI look at that?
Yeah, so if you're having to pay something out of pocket, if you can show a receipt, look, I paid this, then yes. Now, the thing that you got to be careful about, because with Medicaid in Missouri, they're able to make things retroactive. So you might have a month lag, but then in the next month, if you get your Medicaid back and they backdate it, now they're going to cover. So you might get reimbursed that amount that you paid, and then you're having to go back to Social Security and go, okay, I got reimbursed. So, and I just want to make sure everybody knows impairment related work expenses are just one example of work incentives. There are other work incentives, and sometimes it depends on which benefit you get. So, for example, trial work period, extended period of eligibility, those are two work incentives that apply to SSDI, but not SSI. So, of course, as we mentioned, meeting with that benefits specialist can really help you learn more about how these apply in your situation and take a deeper look at how it would look for you, how it would work for you. Of course, for those self learners who like to go and learn, MoDB 101 is a great resource, and that's MO.DB as in disability benefits 101.org. O-R-G. So,
I took the Stacy 2 sessions ago about DB101, but I will put that in the resource page again.
oh, yes. It's a great resource. What I love about DB 101 is that it provides information in multiple different ways. So, for the individual that is the YouTube person, loves getting information, just going to YouTube and watching videos, there are videos about the different benefits. So if you're kind of like, okay, what's the difference between SSI and SSDI? You can go watch a video on what is SSI or what is SSDI, and it provides you kind of like that basic information about what that benefit is. Then if you're like, okay, how does work income impact that benefit? You can watch the SSI and work, or you can watch the SSDI and planning to work. So those videos can kind of just provide that little introduction to those different benefits and how work income impacts them. Then, if you're somebody who likes to read, you like to take a deeper dive into that information, there are numerous articles that you can then go, ooh, impairment related work expenses. I want to learn more about that. Okay, so I'm going to go specifically and look up information about impairment related work expenses. But then there's also estimators. So if you're looking at going to work and you're like, I want to know how work income is going to impact my benefits and my Medicaid, uh, you can use one of the estimators to kind of be like, okay, what if I go to work 20 hours a week making $15 an hour? Or what if I work 30 hours a week or 40 hours a week? Or what if I'm getting $17 an hour versus 15? So you can go in there and put different amounts, different hours, and then see what impact that might have on your benefits and what, things you might need to look into.
Well, and you could also, I think, using the DB 101 and then going to a Sandy to say, hey, so you do your research beforehand and then be like, is this right? Or have Sandy or whoever explain what it means because I've done it and I'm like, I have no clue what's going. So yeah.
Definitely. So, Candace, what do you wish those people supporting individuals? So we kind of talked about what do you wish individuals knew, but what do you wish those supporting individuals knew about helping them navigate work and benefits? What would your advice be to family members, loved ones, professionals?
I think one thing is learning about, well, I have a lot, but one thing is learning about the work incentives and the ILIs. So yes, they do work and do all this work, but knowing, hey, they might have a partner to meet with them before this meeting. That could be. So it's preparing. So who's actually helping the individuals behind the scene to get that ball rolling, or maybe even reading an email. I do that a lot. I send an email to my boss or whoever before I send it out. I mean, working for me is awesome. I get to go out the house, I get to meet new people, get to socialize. Now, if I wasn't, and I think I said this earlier, I would be in the house on social media depressed. So it's it's just for me the mental health come with the working. Now, not gonna say I don't get stressed out at work sometimes because I do, but I have people at work to help me out. Does that answer your question?
It does, and there's so many points there that I feel like it's worth repeating. So, one thing that you just mentioned, the benefits to work, not just financial. Yes, financial is one of them, and a big one for a lot of us. But you think about it beyond that, it's having purpose, feeling good about yourself, growing as a person, gaining more skills, just, having something to do that, like you said, that mental health wellness, you know, that if I was home alone, it's like, okay, I'd become a hermit crab. I would isolate myself. I might start experiencing more mental health issues like depression or anxiety and stuff like that. But just feeling that personal connection to others, having friends, having colleagues that you talk with. The other thing is you think about it. I mentioned earlier, we all depend on other people, right? So we all need supports at some time. Who becomes those support structures? But people we know, right? So when we're getting out there and increasing who we know through work, we're actually increasing our circle of support. And one of the things that we know at the Division of DD quite well is that when there is somebody who has significant support needs, it really drains the family when that family is the only support that that person has. So the more that we can increase one circle of support, the more that it helps that family out as well. I often think about, okay, what would happen if I could no longer drive? If I wasn't able to drive, yes, my husband could be one, but if I was just having to use him all the time for my transportation, it would wear him out. So it's like, who else can I use? Are there other people I know that might be able to help and be more affordable to me than having to use a cab? So So yeah, so that's one of the things, from work. The other thing that I heard you say is kind of like knowing, as a support person, knowing what your role is. you know so sometimes people are going to be like, hey, this is what I need from you. I need you helping me keep notes, take note of all the information I'm getting from this benefit specialist, um, so that when we go to put this plan in action, we know what we're doing. And just knowing that, again, different people might be having different roles as you start to put things in action. You might have somebody that is helping you to report your income to Medicaid, or to report your income to Social Security. And then you might have somebody else that is actually helping you organize all that information. And then you might even have another person that is helping you with advocacy to your employer if you're trying to cap your income so that you do not lose one of those benefits. So, and then the other thing that I heard you say is that fear. So, a lot of times what I heard from beneficiaries, the fear wasn't so much losing the cash benefit, it was, what if I need it back? So understanding the work incentives like expedited reinstatement of benefits that can help you get those benefits back if working doesn't work out. If you have an attempt that doesn't quite work out the way you want it to. So, um, but yeah, kind of understanding those different work incentives, how they work, um, really allows the individual. And I can't stress this enough. It's like loved ones. We often sometimes kind of overstep and start making decisions for a loved one, just a little, yeah. And it's usually at a good place because we want to help support that person. We really care about them, that kind of stuff. We don't want something bad to happen. Um, so, yeah, it's usually out of good intentions, but we really have to listen to the individual. What matters to that individual? What's important to that individual? You just kind of mentioned mental health. There are some individuals that it's like they do better when they are constantly working. They thrive. And for those individuals, working full time might make sense for them because they are like, no, this is when I'm at my best, is when I'm working full time. They may not really care about the money aspect, but it's, having a full plate, having lots of activity that, they are constantly going to is what makes them feel good. You know, for the family members, we might be thinking, oh, we got to keep Medicaid, and we got to keep Social Security. And so here's one of the myths I want to bust. I hear this all the time. To keep our Medicaid, we have to keep our Social Security benefit. We have to keep getting the cash benefit to get the Medicaid. Guess what? There are work incentives. Let me say that again. There are work incentives that allow individuals to keep their Medicaid even when their cash benefit has stopped. So for everyone to know that, it's like you can keep Medicaid even when you are no longer getting that cash benefit. So again, meeting with that benefit specialist, hearing how that works can help that family member feel more comfortable with, yeah, let me support you with working full time because that makes sense for you. All right, let's do this.
Awesome. And I've heard, after you recap that, what I said, it's that social capital. I, I feel like it's that social capital piece too.
So I want to touch on one other thing. You've mentioned a couple times able accounts. So, and I want to make sure people are clear here. So Social Security is going to count your income, your work income, as work income when you get it. So even if you put it in able account, it's still going to be counted as work income. It's still going to have an impact on your Social Security benefit as well as your Medicaid. Where it won't have an impact is when we look at resource limits. So for SSI beneficiaries, this doesn't apply to SSDI beneficiaries, but supplemental security income, SSI beneficiaries, because SSI is a financial needs based benefit, there's an asset limit or a resource limit. So that's where the ABLE accounts really help individuals, is when you think about those financial need based benefits, SSI, Medicaid. So you can put that work in, you can take part of that work income. You can put it in an ABLE account, and then what's in that ABLE account is not seen as a resource. And you can use that to save up for the things that you need.
Okay. Like a new car. I mean, yeah,
Cars,
yeah,
yeah,
and a house or whatever anyone might need. Thank.
education.
Yeah, I mean that might be better than a car. Yeah. No,
No, sometimes people need cars to be able to get to and from work, right?
that's true. That's true. But that could be a work. Couldn't that be a work attendant? Would that be one?
So there is a possibility. So there's these called PASS plans, plan to achieve self-sufficiency. So if you're needing to save up for a card, that would then allow you to be able to have more work options, maybe work more. So maybe the people I'm having to utilize for um, getting to and from work, maybe there's a limit on when they're available. So I'm not able to work as much as I'd like to, because I'm relying on them for to get to and from work. So it's making me have to work mornings only or evenings only. And if I had my own car, then I could work more hours. I could work full time. So with that, I can go to Social Security and I can say, hey, I want to be able to take my work income, put it into a pass plan, and save up for a vehicle. This is going to then allow me to work more and maybe not have to have that cash benefit later on. So I then create a pass plan. And yeah, saving up for that car is now considered a work incentive.
Hmm. That's awesome. No, I'm glad. Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Sandy. Um, is there anything else you want to leave us with, or I don't
Well,
know.
I know one of the questions that you had is about ticket to work. So, um, one thing I want to make clear. So, here's another myth that a lot of people think. They think they have to be utilizing ticket to work, Social Security's ticket to work, to be able to use those work incentives that we've been talking about. And I want to make sure people are clear that work incentives are separate from Social Security's ticket to work program. It's almost like Social Security's ticket to work program is a work incentive in its own self. Okay. So you don't have to be using your ticket. You don't have to be actively using the ticket to work program to be utilizing those work incentives. You're still going to be able to use those work incentives. So when would people want to use the ticket to work program? So one thing people need to know is that when you're using vocational rehabilitation, your ticket's going to be considered in use. So now, the ticket to work program is really designed to get people off that cash benefit in about 6 years. So if people are making the progress that they need to be making each year, after about 6 years, they'll no longer be getting that cash benefit. So I work with voc rehab, and let's say at the time I'm 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 just coming back to work after getting my Social Security benefit, and I'm a little bit shy. I'm not confident that I would succeed, so I want to start slowly. So maybe I'm kind of like, no, I just want a part-time job. I want something that gets me out of the house, it gets my toes wet, allows me to gain some confidence and some skills, and doesn't overwhelm me. So with vocational rehabilitations assistance, I get that part-time job. So, and then I'm successfully employed, and VR says, hey, we've done what we set out to do. You are successfully employed. We're going to go ahead and close your case now. Now I have to make a decision. Do I assign my ticket to an employment network to keep my ticket in use? Now, if I'm planning on staying there part time for right now, I don't have to assign my ticket to an employment network. I can say, nope, I'm not going to be making any more milestones. So I'm going to be keeping it part time, keeping it where I'm getting my cash benefit. I just want to stay here for a while. Now, let's say a few years down the road, I've gained in confidence. I'm like, I can do this. I want full time now. Let's go. Um, Now I can go back and either go back to voc rehab if I'm looking for a different job, or assign my ticket to an employment network if I'm staying at the same job, just increasing my hours. So if I'm going from part time to full time, but I'm staying at the same employer, staying in the same position, I might just say, okay, I want to assign my ticket to that employment network so that I can use that work incentive as as I increase my hours and try and be full time. So, what is it? The work incentive that individuals get to benefit from under that ticket to work is that Social Security will not be doing a continuing disability review while they're making that progress, while their ticket is assigned. So that's really kind of so going back here. So for people that don't know, so when you apply for Social Security benefits and then you're awarded, after that, Social Security will kind of determine that every so often, so periodically, they will want to review whether or not you still meet their criteria. So it's not kind of like a one and done application and you've got it for life. It's you apply and then you have to keep meeting that criteria to keep getting that cash benefit. So when you're using Social Security's Ticket to Work program, basically the benefit to the beneficiary is that Social Security will not be doing that disability review. So it'll be like kind of it's paused. Their eligibility will be assumed that they still maintain eligibility for the benefit while they're making that progress. So that's kind of the Ticket to Work program. And again, um, not to confuse people, Social Security has a Ticket to Work program. Medicaid has Ticket to Work health assurance. It's very different. So, um, Ticket to Work health assurance is one of the work incentives that's available under Medicaid that allows individuals to work and have a more affordable premium to maintain their Medicaid coverage versus spend down or even likewise not being able to keep their Medicaid coverage because they no longer have a Social Security benefit.
Can you have both? You can have both though.
Oh yeah, because they're two separate programs. So I can be using Social Security's Ticket to Work program. I can be using the other work incentives that we talked about. So work period, extended period of eligibility, impairment related work expenses. There's other work incentives that Social Security allows. Subsidies, special conditions, um, expedited reinstatement of benefits. I can be utilizing those work incentives along with Ticket to Work, and also be using Medicaid's Ticket to Work health insurance. So yeah, it's possible to utilize a number of different work incentives at once.
Hmm. Awesome. Thank you. Well, I feel like we touch on a lot of awesome things that can help people. Is there any other thing you want to tell people?
Again, I think we mentioned it earlier on, and just stressing, that in Missouri, we've really been doing a lot of things to ensure that there's access to experts when people need them. One thing I didn't mention is we also have this kind of tiered approach to benefits planning. So it's meeting professionals where meeting people where they're at, and specifically kind of targeting professionals. So we've got several different levels. So benefits planners are kind of near the top. Uh, there's other levels kind of down under. So one of the first levels I call benefit. Well, we call benefits ambassadors, and I really look at this as kind of like the hope is that all professionals that work with individuals with developmental disabilities or people with disabilities, not just developmental disabilities, all professionals would kind of have that benefits ambassador level training. And basically, that's kind of like the CPR and first aid. So you think about it. How many people have CPR and first aid training? Know how to respond when they come across a situation that it's like, ooh, person on the sidewalk, unresponsive, doesn't look good. Well, if you've been through CPR and first aid training, you know how to check for, responsiveness. You know how to call 911. You know how to react if you want to in that situation. Same thing. You see somebody break an arm. You know what first aid to kind of apply to get them to to a medical professional. So that's kind of the same thing here is that we want all professionals to kind of know how do you respond to people's concerns? Why do people have concerns about working in benefits? And what do you really need to know? How do you really respond? And then, how can you get people to more knowledgeable expertise when they need that? So, um, that benefits ambassador, again, kind of like that CPR and first aid. The next level up would be benefits navigators. And for this level, these are those individuals that might be providing a more active role in supporting somebody in employment. So it could be a support coordinator, but it could be a job coach. It could be, yeah, I mean, it could be a VR counselor. It could be anybody. But those individuals who are supporting people with work may want to have a little bit more knowledge about how does work income impact those benefits and what are those work incentives that somebody can tap into. So we call it the benefits navigator level, and it's really kind of like that. Once somebody's going to work, that person is probably going to be more of a point person, a key person that is going to help that person with that game plan. So you've gone to a benefit specialist, you've got your game plan, you know what you want to do. You start to do it, and you start getting letters from Social Security and Medicaid, and now you're like,
Uh huh. Yep.
now it's that benefits navigator's turn to come in here and go, okay, wait a minute, let's breathe. Okay, we knew this was going to happen. We knew that you were going to start getting letters. Let's look at these letters. Oh, okay, nope. This is what we expected. It's okay. We're still doing what your plan said. So, but if you need to get back to a benefits planner, we can get you back to the benefits planner. But we knew this was going to happen. This is expected. See, this is what's happening. So that's kind of like the levels. And again, it's designed to kind of make sure that we are giving people the level of training that they need for where they're at and what their role will be. Yeah.
Thank you. That's good to know. I I should have knew that, but I don't think I did. Think you know learn something every day. No, yeah, talking. Thank you very much, Sandy. I appreciate you taking your time. I feel like there's so much more we could talk about, and maybe that could be another interview. But I
Definitely. I'm always open to talk about this.
Yes, I appreciate you taking your time out and talking with us about all the benefits and working. And you can work and still get your benefits. You just have to learn how to have a Sandy. Well, you can. What is the cutoff? So I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone watching this Candace's Corner podcast today. I hope everyone have a great day, and I look forward to doing my next interview.
And Candace, thank you for sharing your experiences.
Of course, my pleasure.